Hey, it's Max here. I don't know what sequence all these are going to appear, but I'm going to just keep going through them, and I'm going to splice these all together. We have installed here the belly pan from Panicle. Here's its packaging. I'm going to let you guess what country it's from. This is I purchased on Amazon. I can't say what country it's from because then somebody will ban my video here, but you know where it's from. This one mounts in a similar fashion to the Wing Stuff belly pan with some metal straps that go up to engine case guard, one on each side in the front. And then in the back, there's a single bolt, T-bolt, goes up into a cross member on the aluminum frame. Now, you'll watch any of these style of pans where they use that T-bolt that have the straps out front and a single bolt in the back. That bolt, when you put it up in the hole and start to tighten it, you'll feel it swivel and toggle. It's really not seating on a proper surface inside. Then when you tighten the nut, you'll always see the washers all cone up into the hole. So it's fun. It works, but not the ideal way to do that. They should have much more rigid washer there, and you really don't know what's up inside there that makes it feel squishy and toggle. So anyway, then there's just one nylock nut that holds the pan on at the back. So one bolt there, one bolt there. So we're going to do just do I think it will protect my engine test, and then we're going to take these all and put them on our bash. We're going to make a fixture and beat them all. But so this is my first impression, come closer, of the Panicle belly pan. By the way, this is 60 thousandths of an inch, 1/16 of an inch thick stainless steel in black. Okay. And so just my first test is, will it make any noise while I'm riding? I'm pretty sure that one's going to make noise while you ride. My next question is, do I think it will do anything to protect my engine? Me personally, I don't think that's going to do anything to protect an engine. I wouldn't even call this a decoration. I can push it back and forth. I can flap it up and down. And this one will not fare well when we go to hit it with a sledgehammer, I promise you. So anyway, that's the Panicle pan. We'll have another video like this with a different pan shortly. Thanks for watching. Hey, during this section where I was just showing the various plates or belly pans fitted to a Goldwing, I'm going to take some extra time with the Wing Stuff one because I found some oddities about it that if you're bought this or you're going to plan to buy it, will help you to install it. The little T-bolt that goes up in the cross member in the frame, there's a slot. You put a T-bolt up in, you turn it 90 degrees. So it's going up in a slot, you turn it and it hangs there, and then you spin a nut up and tighten it. The Wing Stuff plate and then all the Chinese counterfeits all are done this way. In an odd twist, the Chinese stole this whole idea, of course, from Wing Stuff, but they actually improved upon it, which is I almost never see. They made their square on their bolt bigger so that when you turn it 90 degrees and drop it in, it actually is pretty well locked in to the frame. Whereas the Wing Stuff one, if you try and turn it at all, it'll fall out. So you actually have to hold the stud with one hand and spin the nut up with another until it kind of gets some contact, and then it'll stay. Also, the Wing Stuff one just comes with a small little washer, and it's quite thin and small diameter. If you're doing that, I'd recommend finding a thick fender washer, kind of like these ones here, or two of them and stack them. So anyway, and then the Chinese one also included a nylock nut, which I think is good. The Wing Stuff one has a serrated flange, which is good, just not as good as a nylock for this application. Is the only thing I'd say about that. But now, when it comes to fitting it, I've kind of stopped because it doesn't fit right. And so I'm going to show you why it doesn't fit right and what you can do to work around it, or the things you'd have to do. I have the covers off our engine. Their instructions note that you don't have to do that. We're just doing it because we're fitting all kinds of different plates to this bike and seeing how they line up. Oddly, the instructions say that the two brackets that hang down, I'll read right from it. It says, optional. Brackets can be attached using either end, also in or outside of the mounting tab. So they're saying you can turn them upside right or upside down from where you read the letter, and they can be mounted inside or outside of this tab. Now, that's not true. And in one way or the other, you would have to do something to, bend or manipulate this thing to get it to fit. So, and then also, my first inclination upon installing it would be to take the slotted end and put it up in the bike, so that when you adjust it up and down, you wouldn't see the slot, and just the nice hole would be down on the mounting tab. But unfortunately, I'll show you if you want to come over here with the camera and look. The bolt, the slotted hole is against the engine mount here. You really don't have much range before the bracket bumps into the crash guard itself. So the distance you might gain by having the slot is wasted. So they do have the letter up there, but this will be best served by turning it upside down. And again, apparently they're claiming there is no upside right or upside down. And then, I think human nature would dictate that this bracket would look the best if it were on the inside. And I'll show you the problem if you do that. So I'm going to put this finger tight. So the wing stuff pan here is getting some extra airtime because I'm just showing you some peculiarities that might help you. So there's no slack in this. And let's go to the other side and you'll see a problema. So here's the problem. You see this gap? Probably close to 1/2 inch. So I recommend that you put the bracket on the outside, both brackets on the outside. Clearly you're not getting that to the inside. So by doing this, we'll gain about 3/16 of an inch of that half. It's not a lot, but so it's still going to be off, but I'll show you. And all I'm doing is replacing this to the inside. Now the back bolt, the plate, you slide it up and you just put a nut over the stud that you installed on that cross member on the engine. That is slotted, so you get some fore and aft motion that you can slide the plate to adjust it if you desire. So here we are back to our problem. This, there's a gap here. But here's the bigger problem. On the left side of the bike, come and look. No matter which way you put this, the bracket crashes into the engine crash guard, and it won't reach the bolt hole. It's off by 3/4 of an inch. The only way around that, this is not going to be the right way to do this, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to guess the average person who doesn't know any better is doing. You loosen that bracket, and now it's actually sitting up on the weld, not down on the flat face of the engine bracket up here. It's sitting up on the weld. And then somebody who doesn't know any better is going to go and tighten that bolt, and it's just going to deform that bracket to try and bend it around the weld, and then the bolt isn't tight. It's not tight against the flange. It's not tight against the tab. It's not tight against anything. So my recommendation would be, and we'll do this. I'm going to try and pause this video in a second. I'm going to grind a little notch in this so that I can get the bracket to go back without any stress on it and without deforming it. So I'm gonna try a trick we've never done. So there's a pause button on that instead of. Okay, so I just carried this away and I went to, we have a belt sander, and I just put this on the top edge of the drum. You may not have that. I'll rat tail file in 5 minutes. We'll do the same thing, but I'm taking that notch down in it. That's going to let me fit this bracket around this weld on the engine guard. Okay. And then in theory, it will line up with the pan, which it does. So let me put this hardware in and we'll see what this all looks like assembled. The next thing in the instructions, or that there is no talk of in the instructions, is what height they want this pan to ride at. So these are slotted, so you have the option to tuck this up, hang it away from the engine or tuck it up. They also say you can put it inside of the plastic chin or outside of the plastic chin. So I've never been that decisive about anything myself, but indecisive. So see this? This is all up to you, to what you decide you want to do with it. My recommendation would be to have some form of an air gap so that it does not ring or vibrate against the engine. Is that a 12, 13? I wonder if it's all American. 5. It's not metric hardware. Jesus. I guess it's 1/2 inch and 5/30 seconds maybe. No, what is this? 1/2 inch and 5/30 seconds. So and I'll tell you what I'm going to do first. I'm going to tighten that back nut real quick. I think it's a 14. Let me come around there. Now that the whole plate is in place, this is not adjustable up or down back here, so this will just tighten. And then these are. So I'm just gonna pull it away a little bit and then tighten it. Since they don't have any, like I said, there's no recommendation as to what to do. Of course, you want to avoid having it touching the engine because it can cause a ring or a vibration. I'm going to get this other nut here. So I've got a little air gap all the way across the engine here. So now we're at least at the stage where we were with when we fitted the Chinese one. Until I just whacked it a few times and then I kind of pushed and pulled. These are just absolutely random things, is it? I don't know. And then, so definitely want to have that gap. And then my next just test is, does it seem sturdy, This is much sturdier than the Chinese one. But I can just bend it. I just bent it with just a hand. Watch this bracket. Tell me if you can see this. I'm just going to bend it. I didn't even try to do that. This mount is So flimsy. I just want to make sure it's straight again. Yeah, I'll pull it back a little straighter. How's that? Put it wherever you want it to go. Quite a bit stiffer than the Chinese one. But real quick, I'm gonna drop this and show you while I'm on this particular plate. I'll show you this. We've got another one coming, another Chinese one. That's my prediction is it will be worse than the first one. And it has all kinds of holes cut in it. Now this wing stuff plate has half a dozen or so slots cut in it, and then they've carved their name in it as a cutout. But all of those slots just take away from the strength of the plate. So, you know, you can just bend this. I'm not gonna push on it for real because it would just bend. It would just, so every time you take metal out, you just make it weaker. And then these things here, see how they flex? All of that stuff is just a place where, you know, you've weakened the plate. I don't need to do that, but. So here, just for fun, I'll bring this other one back over. This one is Panicle is the name. Oh, by the way, so there is a difference here. This one is 1/8 inch aluminum. This is 1/16 of an inch stainless steel. By breaking up this edge on the Chinese one, they've added some rigidity to it from flexing by having that corner. But where the engine needs protection is right here. And, you know, this, they don't have that. So, and then you'll see the other problem with this is with this type of design is the mounting bracketry being spread so wide. It's literally the equivalent of doing a wide arm push-up. If you've ever done wide arm push-ups, they are much harder. So normal push-up, your arms are under you, you're strong. The wider you put your arms, the weaker you get and the harder it is for you to actually support anything. So this is why these do this. This one doesn't even have the brackets off the engine on it. But if I put those brackets up here and pushed on it, it's just like this. So we got one more we'll fit up and show you. Then we'll fit the traction one up and show you that. And we'll be back shortly. Thanks. Hey everybody, it's Max McAllister here from Traction Dynamics, and I'm going to show you the Traction Dynamics engine case guard installed. This is part of our Shootout series. And in this section, I've mounting the plates to our motorcycle and then just kind of giving them a generic hands-on push-pull, see if the sounds they make, if they're sturdy, just a, you know, touch of the hands feel. So the traction engine guard, you can kind of come closer, mounts to right to the front of the engine, has a bracket in the rear that's going to be hard to get the camera in there and show you the same. That's it, 2 brackets, they're bolted to the engine. And then the plate bolts up from the bottom with 7 little pinhead screws. So, you know, we're just going to walk by and give them a whack is kind of one of the things I've been doing. We're looking for, does it rattle or make any strange noises? That sound is quite dead because it's really just, you know, whacking away on an engine. Sorry, my microphone's up in my face here. Then the next one is I just kind of grab them and push and pull on them. We're looking for them to bend or distort out of place, flex, anything like that. So here's our plate, the traction plate. So you're going to see the motorcycle move. What we're looking for, you can even come closer. I'm going to see if I can, I'm going to put my body weight on this. I'm going to try and push down, pull up, and see if we can get this to bend any or distort. I'm going to push and pull on it. I'm moving the motorcycle. Obviously, I'm not moving the plate or the engine. So that's what the traction plate looks like. We're going to tie this in to the other 4 plates in the test and just link this video together so you can kind of get a look at each one of them installed. The other ones, I kind of did some things I noticed while I was installing them. On the traction one, we've got videos of us installing it. So, and I don't know of any oddities truly too much about installing ours. We've had one in a tiny hand, I don't know what the number is, 1 in 50, where one of the screw holes won't line up. We include a washer in the kit, goes behind the left rear bracket mount. But from now going forward, we're taking the 3 holes in the back of the plate and slotting them slightly so that no matter what, there won't be a misalignment. We've also come across 3 late model 6-speeds that for some reason the engine cases are farther apart, the front to rear gap, by a pretty good amount, more than a millimeter, 2 millimeters or something strange with no explanation. So anyway, one cure solves all. So going forward, you won't use any shims anymore, nothing. There won't be any issue with that. So anyway, that's the traction plate. Thumbs up. I'll be back with the other plates on here in just a moment. Thanks. This is the Chai Fun plate here that's on our little chart. This one is the 100% counterfeit copy of the Wing Stuff plate. So I'm not going to give it the dignity of even fitting it to the motorcycle. I don't want this piece of crap on my motorcycle at all. So, but we are going to use it first in the destruction test so that it dies first. So anyway, this is the Chai Fun plate. This is the one that is the flimsiest. You can just bend it or break it. I can just break it with my bare hands. It's such a piece of junk. So anyway, not worth fitting it at all. That's how bad it is. And so this segment, that's all you're going to see. All right, I'm back, and our final pan showed up today for our test. This is one that I discovered kind of at the last minute. This is a second pan by the company Pinnacle from China. And this one specifically says right on it that it's 50-52 aluminum. So early when I did my interim, my first level, talking about specs, I didn't have this one in hand. So now we have it in hand. I had guessed it was the same as 1/8" aluminum, but it's actually a little bit thinner. And I mean, a little is a little. So this is 3 millimeter material. So it's 120 thousandths with powder coating on it. So in real world, it's just under 3 millimeters. So just barely thinner than the other plates. It does have some slots and obviously some big holes cut in it, as you can see. This one is intended for the front edge to go up under the plastic. And one thing they do that the other companies are not doing is they break this edge up on the sides. And I mentioned this on their stainless steel plate. This gives it a significant more strength than the people who aren't doing this. Now, their stainless steel plate was super flimsy. This is almost like 2 different companies made these. The first one is absolute, just looking at it, a Chinese piece of junk. And this one looks like a different company made it, even though it's the same brand. But it's much stronger. Even the front's stiffer. And then their stainless steel plate, which is the one, if you'll remember, had little piano hinges and this flimsy, ridiculous strap. And it's made of paper thin stainless steel. This we haven't smashed them yet, but that one's not going to survive. We call this one, although it's a belly pan style, it is a hybrid design. So the front of this one bolts to the engine, the rear bolts to the frame, like the belly pan styles, the 3 other ones we have for our test. And I'm just going to get to installing it real quick to show you. The front bracket, you loosen the 2 engine bolts up and kind of back them out the same way, the same 2 that the traction engine guard uses. And this one, you can just hook them up onto the bolts. They've got some slots cut through it and then tighten the bolts back down. But this bracket's stainless steel, and it seems pretty solid. Again, not on the order of magnitude of the billet, half-inch billet aluminum ones on the traction guard, but of the other bracketry, this is far stronger than the strap style one. So it does use the same T-bolt style, and Panicle took the Wing Stuff style bolt, as I've noted before. They improved it by making it fit into the little slot more tightly than the other ones we're reviewing. So for whatever that's worth, that should slip on there and tighten. Again, we have our engine covers off of this bike, just so everybody can see. This belly pan does not require that you remove any of the covers to install it, and in fact would be the easiest to install of all of the pans as a result. I went ahead and just preemptively have put the rear bolt up in the frame, because that's no different than any of the other belly pans you've seen. So it's already there. I did that to save time. I don't understand what they're doing here, but they've put some two-sided adhesive on this. They do send instructions in Chinese, and also instructions in Chinglish, if you know what I mean. Not very difficult to understand what they're trying to tell you. They show you putting the adhesive up. Let me make sure so that I don't say something wrong. They show you, let's see, specials. They don't really show you which way to put the adhesives. I guess they show it kind of sticking to the nut above it. But I'll be honest, it's not that challenging to put it together, to be honest. But I guess that's the idea. They'll hold the washer there while you do that. But any semi-competent do-it-yourselfer can do this. So you're just going to start that there. The front only has 2 bolts, or 2 screws that hold it on. They are the same style screw as the traction engine guard. This one they have, instead of threading the bracket, since it is just kind of looks like about a 60 thousandths or a 1.5 millimeter thick piece of stainless steel, they've used well nuts, stainless steel well nuts. Now, it does not want to thread. Let me try it. There, I got it. They do want you to put the little well nuts on sideways. Your intuition, they've got a slot. Your intuition would be to put the well nut that way, but they specifically, if you come close here, they want you to put the well nut on sideways, not at the needle. Oops, that's my fault. I dropped that. So I can get that out. So I'm just following their instructions. All right, so I've got those kind of snugged up in place. So there is no adjustment. They mentioned adjusting it, but I guess you could slide it fore and aft a little bit, like slide those well nuts if you didn't like the location of it. But it seems pretty cut and dried where they want it to go. There's a gap here, but in fact, what I'll do is maybe slide it forward. This plate almost kind of wants to touch the bracket. So what I've done is create a gap. If you want to bring the camera and look, I'll kind of point and show you the gap I just created. If you can look down this line, I may have to get, we're looking between where the brackets bend. I've created an air gap there so that if this plate were to vibrate in some way, it wouldn't touch that bracket. When I had first put it on, it was almost touching. So I've slid it forward. There's enough slack in the hardware to do that. So that's useful. Me personal, just as a guy who designs things, I don't know how I feel about just two screws on the front of this. I think they could have added more. But I guess you can say if both screws fell out, the forward tab of this plate is designed to sit above the chin. If they fell out, the plate would not fall down to the ground. So maybe they already thought of that as well. It would just fall onto your chin plate. And I'm pretty sure if it ever did that, you'd certainly hear some rattling going on, and you would know. They have a nylock nut on the rear here, which is something I would prefer, or I like. So that's it. It's installed. Important thing to note, all of the belly pan design ones require, you have to have the bike on the side stand. You can't put this on a center stand because you cannot get the T-bolt that goes up into the frame on. So that's why this bike's on the side stand. So next is just my kind of push, pull, and smack and test it, and just to get an impression of it. So I really thought this would be better than that, honestly. This seems to be the strongest of the rest of them, but all right, now this side is not doing that. There's no boingy boingy. Of all the other plates, this one certainly mounts the most rigid, short of the traction plate. This is far superior to the spaghetti strap design. The question would be, is there anything you could do? So I wonder if you just bent it some. So I just bent it away a little bit to balance it. So I think on the bike it was a little bit like this. The other side had a bigger gap. So I think I just in the back I just bent it some. This right side really, see if I can bend it. I'll be a little more aggressive here. Check the other side. Maybe that's it. Just manually adjust it. That's a lot better. We'll comment, but still, I don't know. Even the packaging on this one was the best of the rest. This is a double row corrugated box, quite strong. The other Panicle one is just literally a flimsy, might as well be wrapped in paper towels. So getting these things shipped, the shipping services are brutal on them. This one did come from a seller in the United States, and I got it off of eBay. Came from Philadelphia. This is funny. It says Amazon services. When I tried to buy this off Amazon, it was $365, and I bought it off eBay for $175. So I don't know what's going on with that, but I got it for half price on eBay. All right, that's the Panicle hybrid style plate number 2. You know, my push-pull tests, in my opinion, it's like I've noted, it's the best of the rest so far. And it in fit and feel and all that. So last thing to do now, I made my fixture to bash on these things, but my first attempt was I didn't get it right. So it's real important that we have the engine guard sit exactly over this engine case we have exactly as it does on this bike, and I had it off by a couple inches. So we're reworking the fixture. I'm going to do that this weekend. I'll re-weld on it and get it finished, and then next week we'll start bashing them. But for today, you will have now seen the specs, and you'll see them fitted, and then we'll start smashing them. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, thumbs up and share with your friends, because the outcome is going to be great.